Hi everyone and welcome back to the Couch Buddies. And this week, no, we're not having the GNU Force, we're just going to check the plumbing beneath New York.
And we're also going to bring in our air freshener moment, the spiritual successor of one of the greatest adventure games of the 90s. Stick around, we'll be right back.
And let's get the show on the road. We're back, we had an awesome week, didn't we, GJ?
Yes. I mean, awesome. I had a very terrible work week, but
Screw that.
That's just life, on adulthood. So let's talk about games and get back to our childhood days because
games with mold.
I feel like the responsibilities of life are too heavy on me. So we need to. We need to cool down a little bit. So, Blade,
let's go back to better times.
And let's go back to better times, exactly. Let us know what you have for us today.
Let's just dive right into it and let's go right to 1983 to an iconic game. A really iconic game called Mario Bros. Not Super Mario Bros. Mario Bros. The first, the original one. Oh yeah, the game that came right after Donkey Kong and finally told us who Mario was and finally introduced Luigi. This was a really cool game. I played this on the NES back then and it was really simple. You have this static scenario with some platforms, a single button on the center, like a block that said POW, that you could eat in an emergency, and then you had these tubes that were supposed to be the plumbing beneath New York, and you played Mario and Luigi, or you could play just as Mario alone, and your goal was to get rid of the pests that were coming through the pipes, turtles, like you see in the Mario games. Yep. But you couldn't jump on them to eliminate them. No, you had to get beneath them when they were in the platform, hit the platform, they would jump and turn around, and then you would kick them to eliminate them. This was how it went. And if there was too many confusion in the scenario, if you just wanted to get them all together and just kill them all at once for more points, you could just hit the POW button, they will all jump and be turned around, and you could kick them all away and get bonus points. This was a rather simple game, but very addictive, and especially if you play this in two-player mode, because you could have a friend and you could just have one hit them from beneath, the other kicking them, or you could just have all hell break loose and be free and do whatever you wish. It was a cool game, it was a game I spent a lot of time with. There's not really much to tell about this game. It's a simple game, it's a simple concept. I'm not quite sure if it actually had an ending. I think I never hit the end of the game if it had one. But it was really cool, especially if you played it with a friend. And I would advise everyone to pick this one up because it's on the Nintendo Switch Online. You could play it there on the virtual console. They actually have the NES virtual console there. And it's really cool. It's a game I remembered just a few hours ago, and it's a great game.
It's the classic creation of Shigeru Miyamoto by Nintendo. Jumpman, as he was known in the Donkey Kong series.
Jumper.
Before his name was changed to Mario, and I believe that this was done by the US market that was looking for a more appealing name for it. I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah. I think so. I think I read something about that too.
And there's also other curiosities that, for example, I'm not sure if you guys knew, but Mario was actually not a plumber but a carpenter.
Oh yeah.
And this was some of the changes that came through Mario and as the character that we know today, because right in the beginning, especially on the early 80s, like you just mentioned,
career changes are possible.
It is, and I think it all comes in line with the fact that which is something that is very important for the gaming industry, which is marketing and how do you market a character. Not so much today. I don't think that's really the marketing. Yes, it is important, but the character itself, I don't really think that that's so much important like it was in the old days. but captivating Nintendo fans from, since the Mario era to the legacy that exists today with other franchises like Zelda and so on and so forth.
Zelda is so cool.
I think that it was a great job that they did. Excellent game, especially the OG one for the NES. And really happy to see it. You guys know where to play it. So, moving on, I'm going to go more than a decade forward, actually, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite movie franchises, or let's say sagas, that originated several games. In fact, still today, it's still, for me, every time there is a new game from this saga, I still feel very hyped about it. And the game I'm going to be talking about is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And this is from 1999 for the PC. And this was developed by Big Ape Productions and published by LucasArts. So,
did it have Jar Jar Binks?
I'm not going to talk about Jar Jar Binks, okay?
You're dodging a bullet there, right?
I profoundly hated that character. I mean, I didn't hate the character. The character was really nice. I just don't think that it had a space in the plot of that movie.
Yeah, it didn't make sense.
But I guess that they wanted to introduce the comedy, let's say the comedy act in the movie, and that's
the comedy act. I like that,
and that's why they put Jar Jar Binks there. Again, as a big Star Wars fan, and having already talked about other games from the series here, the most recent one I believe it was the Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. We go back once again to, as I said, my favorite franchise, and this is actually my favorite movie of the prequel trilogy. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is an action-adventure RPG that follows closely the events of the movie with the same title. Despite that, me personally, I would not consider it exactly an ARPG. The fact is there are several elements in this game that made it very popular, especially on the PC. It was almost like open world, where it would provide some, ability for the players to explore, but then it was bound to this action-adventure style of playing that was taken from games like, for example, the Tomb Raider series, like where you see the character from behind, although the camera angles can be quite sketchy in this game anyways, but that's the whole concept of it. If you are one of those that hasn't seen Star Wars or is not familiar with the plot, so I'll have to go through this, well, here it goes. While the Trade Federation was establishing a blockade around the planet of Naboo, the two Jedi Knights are sent with peaceful intentions to negotiate an agreement with the Trade Federation Viceroy. Shortly after arriving and while waiting for the meeting, the two Jedi are locked in a room that is filled with poisonous gas, and thus learning that the negotiations were never really an option and they were to be assassinated. This then triggers a whole set of events that expands throughout all the three movies of the prequel that ultimately ends in the rise of Darth Vader. But that's just a story for the movies themselves and not really the game. So I will not spoil so much of the story about this, because there's not much to say. It really follows it follows the events of the movie, although in some specific cases it follows the movie, but through different perspectives. I remember that while, for example, Queen Amidala and Captain Panaka, or Tanaka, I think it's Panaka, go back to Naboo, we actually see Anakin Skywalker actually going through the Jedi Council, which in this case, the movie is all the perspective of Anakin Skywalker, but the game does give us a perspective from other characters. We can play mainly with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Amidala, or in this case Padme, whatever you want to call her, and then this Captain Panaka, which was the personal guard of the Queen. So these are the main characters that we play with, and we go through several levels within the story of the movie with different characters and just moving forward. For me, obviously, the favorite one was to play with the Jedis. Obviously, the usage of the lightsabers was something very, very fun. There's other games that I really love from the Star Wars saga that I haven't yet spoken about, especially going through Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast. So these are all great games from LucasArts with some different universes of the story, non-canon actually, but really, really great stories also, and we'll have to bring them here one day. Phantom Menace was highly praised by its excellent graphics, beautifully composed soundtrack, as well as its very well-designed role-playing style gameplay, and it actually is sold more than 330,000 copies in less than 8 months just for the PC alone. This actually had releases for other platforms such as the PlayStation and so on. Yeah. The game, unfortunately, is not available in any digital platform. This is one of those that you really need a physical copy to actually play it, or as we usually say, Uncle Google to the rescue, and might always be your help. Or your friend.
Googie is the man.
I really love this game. I really love this game. To be able to play this from the perspective of the movies, I'm really, you know, it's really sad that they didn't actually make one game per movie. Despite that many people actually didn't find this game such a masterpiece and so on, I really had fun with it. The review, or actually the reception of this game, was really great in terms of sales. The reviews about it were all shadowed by Jedi Knight, which is one of the games that I was just talking about. So people that might be expecting that this would be a similar game to that, I would have to say that the Jedi Knight series actually had a lot more quality than this. But it also had a bigger legacy because it came back from the Dark Forces times and all those great games that Star Wars had so far. But enough about Star Wars. It's a great game. You guys should definitely try it if you didn't. It's a great game. But Blade, tell us about the next one that you're bringing us.
Okay, I went to the NES a while ago. Let's go to the SNES now. Shall we? And let's talk about the game called Wild Guns. This was quite a nice game. You haven't played this one.
I don't think I did, no. I don't think I did.
Okay, this originally came out in '94 in Japan, and 2 years after in Europe in '96. This is a Cabal-style game. You go in the Wild West, you mix up that steampunk ambience in it, and you have a great game. It had great animations, great sound. The SNES had a great sound system. The game was wonderful to play. It was really fun. And it actually controlled pretty well for that type of game. You could actually choose between two characters before you could start the game, Clint or Annie. And there was this really fun thing you could do when you were picking up the characters. If you pushed any of the 4 buttons on the controller, they would switch colors, so you'd pick a color. And you could play as Annie in a full white dress with a white hat. She looked like she was getting married.
This was really fun. I didn't play this game, but actually I did. One of the things that I specifically remember about this game was that, you know about these games that have, these arcade-style shooters and something like that, you have a crosshair and then you have to control or you have to aim where you shoot. And I don't really... I remember specifically that this game had really good controls for using a gamepad. I didn't see any... I didn't have any difficulty with this. It's not like playing Duck Hunt with a controller, which I don't think it's even possible. I think you have to use a light gun.
You really need the light gun.
But this was really... I remember this... it was kind of like a Western style, with some really different characters, because there was sometimes some
there were robots and very special guns.
Was really weird. I mean, this is completely manga, this is like those types of Japanese games that they just mix up everything. But it was I remember now. I thought I didn't play it, but it's really a good game, and I did play it back then.
No, it had. I mean,
I have an SNES T-shirt, man. I mean,
you did it on purpose tonight.
How can I not talk about an SNES game when I'm wearing an SNES T-shirt?
No, but what I was telling you, this game was really cool. It had 6 levels, if I recall right. Every single one of them had the 2 main stages where you had the mini boss and another mini boss, and you had the main boss at the 3rd stage. It was just for that, basically. And the first mini boss was epic. It was like a skeleton robot that would show up with the ammunition on the front, and it looked so stupid. But this game was so cool.
I gotta try this with an emulator and an Xbox controller.
It's still an awesome game. I can tell you that.
To see how it works, because now you give me a good idea. I might be playing this still tonight. I might be playing this.
Great game, and if you guys get the same idea, just play this one. It's well worth your time today. And tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
And a lot of days.
So, I think I'm gonna go to now our air freshener moment, and I had mentioned today during our intro that this was the spiritual successor of a great adventure game. So, going right into it, and without further ado, we're going to be talking about Obduction from 2016. This was released for Windows, macOS, PS4, and Xbox One, and this was developed and published by Cyan World. So, from the creators of Myst and the sequel Riven, Obduction is, as I mentioned, considered to be the spiritual sequel of this series. In the good style of this ultimate classic, Obduction takes us on a very peculiar adventure of escaping an alien planet where everything is connected through a mysterious set of events. As we are abducted from Earth, our character wakes up in a small mining city of Hunrath in Arizona. Quickly, we discover that this small town, or at least part of it, is not exactly located on Earth. This is immediately discernible by the gorgeous looking sky that they have designed and the surroundings that are visible through a dome under which the town is located. And talking about under a dome, I was playing this game and I was remembering of Stephen King's book Under the Dome, which is a great one. In attempt to achieve our final goal of escaping, we end up discovering that for centuries, other humans have also been abducted, as well as successful in establishing contact with the alien species. Now, I'm not going to spoil the story of this because this is so well developed, and to the sense of what we've seen before in Myst games, and both Myst, Riven, the Uru series that came after that.
Great series.
They were all so good, and this is a franchise that started back in the early 90s, and it's once again it's a very, very good looking game. Just to give you a brief idea of it, and as we're talking about, as a very good looking first person adventure game where the art and the music direction is simply gorgeous. Each one of the locations that we visit have their distinct color set that works as an indicator of where we are, and subconsciously it actually engraves you the feeling in our brain of where are we, in which planet are we in this case. It's not very fast paced, and it gives you enough time to slowly introduce new areas as well characters and their stories, so you don't really feel overwhelmed by the actions you have to perform. One of the most important aspects of the Obduction, or the Obduction, the game, is the way or how they tell you its story. There is a lot of reading to do, so if you are, let's say, a book enthusiast, but you want to know what the visual experience would be of what you are reading, this game does it just amazingly perfect. There are lots of notes, diaries, pamphlets scattered throughout the game that not only serve as the purpose of telling the story, but also as a hint system. There are always going to be clues in each one of these texts that tell you how to move forward in the game. Nothing less that I would expect from Cyan Worlds, considering the great games that they created back in the late 80s and all throughout the 90s. And as I mentioned, despite that it's slow-paced, it's not a very long game. The average time for the completion should be around 10 hours. I haven't completed the game yet. I'm still playing it. And the reason why is that because the puzzles, despite being in general rather simple, there are some that are extremely difficult. Prepare yourselves that in this game you will need to learn an alien language that requires heavy math calculation to be able to figure out how to communicate with some of the creatures. It was really amazing. I already got through that part, and no shame in that. I'm going to tell you, I had to check on a walkthrough because that was really difficult. It's like
you said people needed to be prepared. You weren't. I will tell you in the
I was not.
You are not prepared.
But I was not prepared because I really suck at math, and this is really like, imagine how our usually numeric system is from 1 to 10, or let's say from 0 to 9, but that's 10 positions. This language is based on increments of 4, so times 4. So you had to crunch numbers to find out that each one of those numbers corresponded to a letter, so then you can actually solve one of the puzzles. Another interesting side of the game, for example, is that there's a lot of jumping between dimensions, or in this case between planets. So what happens is that you land on this alien planet that is, surrounded by a dome, as I mentioned, but then there's portals between them, and you cannot really reach to the end of your adventure until you go to all the planets that are there and actually, perform certain actions until you activate all the necessary, let's say, tree feeding, because there is a tree that needs to be fed, and when you guys play the game, you'll understand this.
You're getting me hyped for this one. You see the VR.
It's really great. It's first person. I mean, it's not the classical point and click, but for me, it's all about the adventure. It's all about the story that they tell. This game was actually free on Epic Store a few weeks ago. It was one of the games that was given out for free. I got it there on that opportunity, and unfortunately,
Nice.
I'm very ashamed that I actually didn't know that there was a sequel to this game before, because this is already from 2016, so it's been quite some years already that this was released. But definitely worth it. The game costs around 20 euros. I've checked it on
Really have to try
on
it.
Epic, and I checked it on GOG also. If you ask me, is it worth it? Yes. Extremely beautiful graphics. The soundtrack is amazing. I think overall it's a great game. And if you guys love the Myst series, give it a go. It's really they really nailed down the style of the old games. After all, it was the same people that actually produced it and developed it. So makes total sense to play it if you were a fan. So give it a go, because it was really a great game. I'm still playing it, and I hope to finish it very soon. But who knows? I mean, I might get one of these puzzles again that are just completely obnoxiously difficult, and I might be stuck there for a while.
I need to play this one. I definitely
Yes,
will.
give it a go.
You know what else we need to do?
End this episode.
Yeah, we need to ask everyone to not forget to leave a like.
Oh my god! Leave a
Oh
like.
yeah,
Leave a like.
I'll let it pass. I'll pretend I
Leave a
didn't
like.
hear you.
Another couchisode that comes to an end.
Oh,
Guys,
yeah.
leave a like, as we always say. Please help us continue this fight against the YouTube creator gods, and to make sure that our videos reach to everyone. Share it with your friends, and you already know what to do. So you already left the like. I hope that you're smashing the like button. If you didn't like, obviously you need to leave a dislike. And don't forget, subscribe our channel. We really need your help, as we said. And I guess that's it for this couchisode and for this week. Blade, signing out, and game on.
Game on, everyone. See you next week.